Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe
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 Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe
Jaya Radha Vallabha Radha Vallabha Shri Radhe
Jaya Radha Vallabha Radha Vallabha Shri Radhe
Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Shri Radhe
Jaya Radha Shyama Sundar Radha Shyama Sundar Shri Radhe
Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Shri Radhe
Jaya Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Shri Radhe
Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe
Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol
Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol
Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol
Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol
Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadrama Jaya
Jagannatha
Jagannatha
Jayo
Jaya
Jagannatha
Jagannatha Jaya
Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadrama
Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadrama
Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadrama
Jaya Prabhupada
Hari Bol.
Jaya
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jai 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 Hare Hare Bol Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna विचारणैकनिपुणौ सत्कर्मसंस्थापकौ
लोकानां हितकारिणौ त्रिभुवने मान्यौ शरण्याकरौ
लोकानां हितकारिणौ त्रिभुवने मान्यौ शरण्याकरौ
राधा कृष्ण पदारविन्द भजना नन्दे नमस्तानितौ
कृष्णपदारविन्दभजना नन्दे नमस्तानितौ
ठीक है, yes, it's focusing, it's just the lighting is bad.
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
श्रीगौरङ्गगुणानुवर्णनविधौ श्रद्धासमृद्ध्यान्वितौ
श्रीगौरङ्गगुणानुवर्णनविधौ
श्रद्धासमृद्ध्यान्वितौ पापोत्तापनिकन्तनौ तनुभृतां गोविन्दगानामृतैः
पापोत्तापनिकन्दनानुतनुभृतं गोविन्दगानामृतौ
आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनैकनिपुणौ कैवल्यनिष्ठारकौ
आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनैकनिपुणौ कैवल्यनिष्ठारकौ
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीगौरिवगोपालकौ
त्यक्त्वा पूर्णमशेषमण्डलपते श्रेणीं सदा तुच्छवत्
त्यक्ता सूर्णमशेषमण्डलपति श्रेणिं सदा तुच्छवत्
भूत्वा दीनगणेशकौ करुणया कौपीनकण्ठाश्रितौ
भूत्वा दीनगणेशकौ करुणया कौपीनकण्ठाश्रितौ
गोपीभावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नौ मुहुः
गोपीभावरसामृताभिलहरी कलोलमग्नौ मुहुः
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
कोकिलहंससारसगणा कीर्णे मयूराकुले
कुजत्कोकिलहंससरसगणा किमे मयूराकुले
नानारत्ननिबद्धमूलविकपा श्रीयुक्तवृन्दावने
नानारत्ननिबद्धमूलवितपै श्रीयुक्तवृन्दावने
राधाकृष्णमहर्निशं प्रभजतौ जीवात्तदौ यौमुदा
राधाकृष्णमहानिशं प्रभजतौ जीवरथतौ व्योमुणे
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
संख्यापूर्वकनामगाननतिभिः कालावशानीकृतौ
सांख्यापूर्वकनामगाननतिभिः कालावसानैकृतौ
निद्राहारविहारकादिविदितौ चात्यन्तदीनौ चयौ
निद्राहारविहारकादिविजितौ चात्यन्तदीनौ चयौ
राधाकृष्णगुणस्मृतेर्मधुरिमा नन्देन सम्मोहितौ
राधाकृष्णं गुणस्मृतिर्मधुरिमा आनन्देन सम्मोहितौ
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
राधाकुण्डतटे कलिन्दकलया तीरे च वंशीवटे
राधाकुण्डतले कलिन्दतनया तीरे च वंशीवटे
प्रेमोन्मादवशादकेशदशया ग्रस्तौ प्रमत्तौ सदा
प्रेमोन्मादवसादशेषदशया ग्रस्तौ प्रमत्तौ सदा
गायन्तौ च कदा हरे गुणवरं भावाभिभूतौ मुदा
गायन्तौ च कदा हरेर्गुणा भावाभिभूतौ मुढा
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
हे राधे व्रजदेविके च ललिते हे नन्दसूनो कुता
हे राधे व्रजदेविके च ललिते हे नन्दसूनो कुता
श्रीगोवर्धनकल्पपादपतले कालिन्दिवने कुता
श्रीगोवर्धनकल्पपादपतले कालिन्दिवने कुता
घोषान्ताविति सर्वतो व्रजपुरे हे दैर्महाविह्वलौ
घोषान्तवैति सर्वतो व्रजपुरे खेदैर्महाविह्वलौ
वन्दे
सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ
Goswami Ashtakam ki
जय
ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Yeah.
Is the translation. You want to read translation?
Which one?
This is the second one. Last one is the first one.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna.
So this glorification of the six Goswamis,
What do you realize from this verse of second verse of the question has to come, the translation just read?
They are scrutinizingly studying all the scriptures. So when we study the scriptures, we've got to scrutinizingly study them, not just superficial. I have finished the Bhagavad Gita, finished the Bhagavatam, but then what do you remember from what you have read? And more importantly than that, what have you put into practice? How many devotees with whom do you have deep good relationships? That is the test of how scrutinizingly we have studied the scriptures. And so they are lokanam hitakarinam. Is it in the same? Yeah. Because they scrutinizingly study the scriptures, and they take instructions from the scriptures as to how to behave. So they are lokanam hitakarinam. They are doing welfare for the whole world. And so they are worthy of being taken shelter of by Tribhuvana, everyone in all the three worlds. So if we also follow them, and His Grace Gauranga Prabhu was telling, if you follow the four regulative principles, chant your 16 rounds with focus and attention in a prayerful mood, and scrutinizingly study Srila Prabhupada's books, that is the best management.
Very good. Thank you. Any other comments on that?
it should be in the mood of gopis, and that is where the main, if we can try and imbibe the mood of gopis, which would then at least we are approaching Krishna, endeavoring Krishna in the right mood. And I think Bhagavatam again gives the example of Gajendra Moksha, where Gajendra, in fact, while calling Vishnu, you could see that he was on the material world, and his calling or his voice had gone through transcending all the three worlds, and Lord Vishnu had to leave everything, take his Garud, and then come over to help. So that is how a devotee should be able to practice his or her, I think, Mahamantra.
Okay. As far as following the mood of the gopi is concerned, Srila Prabhupada advised us to first, because we are practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, following the mood of the gopis comes the Raganuga and beyond. So therefore, it is difficult to go to that stage when we are not yet perfect at the Vaidhi level. So therefore, for us at this stage, though that's the goal, at this point in time, it is advisable to follow Srila Prabhupada, who is a Brajavasi, who is a resident of Vrindavan, and whose instructions will lead us to that. the reason I'm saying that is because some devotees thought they can go directly to the gopi, mood of the gopis right now in the present condition. So that is premature. But at the same time, we should not lose sight of the goal. So what you are saying is the goal. But the present situation also has to be understood that yes, we are not there, but that is our goal. And Srila Prabhupada's instructions, following his instructions, will take us there. That way we are not unaware of the goal, at the same time we can't jump to the goal also, correct? Or too early. That will be confirmed by spiritual master in what is called Sambandha Gyan. Guru gives Sambandha Gyan and reveals in the mode of gopis, you are serving like this. And then that becomes our standard from there on. But until that time, Prabhupada advised us to see Radha and Krishna as Lakshmi Narayan in the mode of Vaikuntha. We start with when you bring Vaidhi Bhakti. As we progress to Raganuga Bhakti, then definitely those will get revealed by spiritual master, will get revealed. But that's why it's important to have that goal in mind. If you don't have that goal, you won't get there. So I'm just thinking, I'm going to do Vaidhi Bhakti forever and that's it, then we can't. Because one of the key ingredients to elevate oneself from Vaidhi Bhakti to the next level is having that strong desire. The strong desire should be there. If that laulium, greed, strong greed should be there, laulium should be there. So if one is not greedy for that and one not aspiring for that, then obviously we are not going to get there here. So that a strong desire and aspiring laulium, greed has to be there. Understanding that we are not there. And also understanding we will get there, it's not hopeless. By mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of Guru Parampara, we will get there one day. They will take us there by their mercy. But from our side, like Shanmukhi said, we have to try our bit, do our part sincerely, and then attract the mercy, and the mercy will take us. Any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking in the previous class also, Prabhu, because I think this you are asking, this verse we read in reference to what we are reading in Nectar of Devotion, which says that, the first class devotee, he has to be expert in the study of relevant scriptures.
Correct.
Like Prabhu said about Gopi, I'm just thinking, when we go to the dance, if we go to Mayapur or something,
Correct.
I see many people coming from the villages and other places.
Right.
And the kind of bhakti they try to show, I don't think I am anywhere near that.
Correct.
The way they are. And I'm not sure whether how much literate they are.
Correct.
I'm not sure, they
By
could
material
be,
calculation.
but
By material calculation.
yeah. No, whether from your reading scriptures or something, from that I'm talking.
Okay.
Whether from their the literacy rate, whether they'll be able to read scriptures. And here it talks about being an expert in the study.
That which 6 Goswami is from.
Huh?
That talking about 6 Goswami.
No, it says that for the first class devotee.
First class devotee. Yeah, okay, yeah.
So then I'm thinking how they cannot be a first class devotee or what.
No, the point is, you see, because they can be first class devotees without apparently reading the scriptures, but yet understand the essence. Prabhupada gives the example that when Krishna hid from the gopis, he disguised himself in a 400 form. Right? So the gopis came running looking for Krishna, and they saw the 400 form of Krishna looking like Narayan. So they had enough Shastric knowledge to recognize Lord Narayan, to see him, recognize him, and say Namo Narayan, offer respect to him. But they asked question is, where is Krishna? Have you seen Krishna? So they understood Narayan, they understood Krishna. But then when Srimati Radharani came there, her desire to see Krishna was so strong that his 2 hands fell off. He couldn't keep up his disguise even. So that is the mode of the gopis. Now, it is not for us to evaluate how literate they are. That is for us to.
No, I'm not evaluating.
No, I'm just
saying if we say they have to be expert in that.
Yeah,
class.
Krishna will make them, no. They are guided by Krishna. If you ask them a Shastric question, they can give a Shastric answer without even reading the scripture. My grandmother knew all the scriptures without reading. She was illiterate too. I'm not saying she was first class devotee. I don't know what class she was. She so definitely some kind of a devotee. But she is illiterate, but she knew, if you asked her Gajendra, she'll tell exactly who was the characters, who's the elephant, what was in his previous birth, all that she knows, now without reading. See, our problem, we are conditioned, if you read in English or whatever, then only we are
Maybe by hearing also.
Exactly. And Krishna gives from within the realization, who is going to stop that? Dadami buddhiyogam tam yenamam kventive, tesham tatvittanam bhajatam pritipurvakam, that's what they are doing. Then Krishna says, third line, Dadami buddhiyogam tam, I give the intelligence. When Krishna gives intelligence, they give right answers, why don't you know? And I have experienced this not of the gopis, but certainly in Jagannath Puri, I think I mentioned that before quite a few times. On the Mahaprasad, how that apparently illiterate beggar, very dirty, very unclean, and is simply begging, that's all he does, no deity worship, no chanting, no japa, no sadhana, that is visible to us. But when it came to instructing Shastra, he was very, very deep. And what he said is, I can't forget the rest of my life. So our observation may be one thing, but we don't know internally how they are, how Krishna is reciprocating with them. Very hard to say that. Very hard.
Isn't it in the third chapter which we are now reading?
Yeah, that's what he's asking.
Where the question is your level of attraction to Krishna.
Yeah, that's
So what level of attraction is there? Now whether you have Shastric Gyan or not, but if
Yeah.
you are attracted to Krishna, Krishna
Correct.
would reciprocate in that.
Everything is covered within that. You're right. See, all the items of knowledge, but one more thing I thought of. 13th chapter, Krishna gives the items of knowledge, right? 24 items of knowledge. Slok number 8 to 12. The 5 slokas are there. He gives Tat Dhyanam, he says. That's what we call it.
These are all not.
They are knowledge, right? They are constitute knowledge. Now, in that, what is the most important one? Only one is important in all of them. Krishna Eka Sharanam. One is taking shelter of Krishna. That includes all other aspects. Approaching a spiritual master, all is included in that. Everything else is included in that. The main key point is there. Once the key point has been taken care of, the other items will come automatically. So while here the characteristics are given in third chapter, yes, these are the characteristics, but some of them may be hidden, we don't even know. In fact, one of the characteristics of first class devotee is not mentioned here, in other places mentioned, that you can't recognize him. That is one of the characteristics. You can't recognize the first class devotee. So it's not mentioned here, but it's mentioned in other. I can find it where it is. But it is mentioned here. Because my Guru Maharaj asked me this question once. He asked me in an initial interview, he asked this question. And I rattled off some qualities of first class devotee. And then he said one of the qualities is that you can't recognize it. We think I have got all the tests I can perform and I can give a result. You are second class, you are first class, third class. No, first class you cannot recognize. Because first of all, I am not myself on the first class level. So how can I recognize someone higher than me? Undergraduate can't correct the postgraduate papers, right? And give marks. So we are at the lower level, we can't see at the higher level. But we just go by the Shastra. Yeah, those characteristics Krishna can manifest or unmanifest as he likes in the first class. What can we do? But for our purpose, Krishna is given for two reasons. One is that we want to aspire to be better devotee, improve ourselves. And secondly, when we see a first class devotee, offer respect and render service to that devotee. We should follow the etiquette. When a devotee is very advanced, we have to recognize their advancement and offer them service and learn from them and hear from them. That is our reason why we want to understand this. Is that okay, bro?
Yes,
Alright, so what we'll do is, we read last time the first class devotee. Can you quickly revise that or you all remember everything? Revise? Okay, let me quickly read that paragraph. Devotees are divided into three classes. How let me just read it down.
Devotees may be
Use the mic, huh? the devotee listening online. Chapter 3, Nectar of Devotion. Eligibility candidate for accepting devotion service. Paragraph number 3.
Devotees may be divided into three classes. The devotee in the first or uppermost class is described as follows. He is very expert in the study of relevant scriptures, and he is also expert in putting forward arguments in terms of those scriptures. He can very nicely present conclusions with perfect discretion and can consider the ways of devotional service in a decisive way. He understands perfectly that the ultimate goal of life is to attain to the transcendental loving service of Krishna, and he knows that Krishna is the only object of worship and love. This first-class devotee is one who has strictly followed the rules and regulations under training of a bona fide spiritual master and has sincerely obeyed him in accord with the scriptures. Thus, being fully trained to preach and become a spiritual master himself, he is considered first class. The first class devotee never deviates from the principles of higher authority, and he attains firm faith in the scriptures by understanding with all reason and arguments. When we speak of arguments and reason, it means arguments and reason on the basis of revealed scriptures. The first class devotee is not interested in dry speculative methods meant for wasting time. In other words, one who has attained a mature determination in the matter of devotional service can be accepted as a first class devotee.
So if you see the last line, it summarizes the first class devotee. In other words, one who has attained a mature determination in the matter of devotional service can be accepted as first class devotee. So that is the underlying principle. If that is there, other details may be observed, some may be not observed, but that is the bottom line. In fact, Chaitanya Charitamrita describes these three levels on only one word, based on only one characteristic. What is that? Shraddha, faith. One with unflinching faith is a first class devotee. One with faith. The Kanishta Madhyam Uttamadhikari, Shraddha Anusari. So it is very much understandable, not difficult to understand. Shraddha Anusari, degree of faith. So all others will not be considered if the faith is very strong, then one becomes Uttamadhikari. So this is the bottom line. But we have seen other characteristics as well. Expert in study of scriptures, put forward arguments, present conclusions. He understands the ultimate goal of life is Krishna Prema. Goal of life is Krishna Prema. He understands that. Transcend loving service of Krishna. He knows that Krishna is the only object of worship. Krishna Ekam Sharanam and love. Strictly follows rules and regulations of bona fide spiritual master and obedient to the spiritual master, and himself will be eligible to become a spiritual master.
I just want to check this. Saranagati word has come from Krishna Sarana, like it's
Yeah.
same stuff.
Yeah, Sharanam, big shelter, surrender to Krishna. Krishna is the, that's why the 6 items of surrender are mentioned, no? Sharanagati. Anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya vajana. 6 items are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, text 66. Sarvadharman paritejya. Purport, Prabhupada quotes those 6 items of surrender. Krishna is the only shelter, Krishna is the only maintainer, protector, he himself totally helpless. So these are the 6 items. Accepting what's favorable, rejecting what's unfavorable, recognizing Krishna as the only shelter, protector, maintainer, and feeling oneself very meek and humble. So these 6 items are items of surrender, which I mentioned in the purport of 1866. So that marks the foundation for the 26 qualities of the devotee. Okay, so today will be the second class devotee. Maliku, you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Hare Krishna. The second class devotee has been defined by the following symptoms. He is not very expert in arguing on the strength of the revealed scriptures, but he has firm faith in the objective. The purport of this description is that the second class devotee has firm faith in the procedure of devotional service unto Krishna, but he may sometimes fail to offer arguments and decisions on the strength of revealed scriptures to an opposing party. But at the same time, he is still undaunted within himself as to his decision that Krishna is the supreme object of worship.
So what is the difference between first class and second class?
First class devotee can give arguments from the scriptures very strongly and quote different from different shastras. But second class devotee may or may not be able to do that. But he certainly has very firm faith in the Supreme Lord and who the Supreme Lord is. He is undaunted within himself, as Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay. Yes. So even though he may not be able to convince others, but certainly not give up his own conviction. That's the second class. Right. So Prabhupada wanted us to be at least on second class level. That is Prabhupada's expectation. That we follow the 4 principles, appropriate principles and chant the 16 names as the minimum. Then he said that will help one to reach become Madhyamadikari, second class devotee. And a Madhyamadikari is one who is eligible to preach, who can preach. Our movement is a preaching movement. The essence is on preaching. That's why Srila Prabhupada established Gaur Nitai, Nitai Gaur. In Gaudiya Sampradaya, you find many Gaur Gadadhar deities are there. Gaur Gadadhar deities, their mood is more a relishing the Bhagavatam and studying and discussing among themselves.
Which Sampradaya, bro?
Gaudiya Sampradaya. If you go to Mayapur, you see, Navadvip, you go, there are so many temples, they have Gaur Gadadhar, they don't have Gaur Nitai. But Prabhupada specially installed Nitai Gaur Nitai. And he brought Nitai there because Nitai's mood is of compassion, of preaching, of giving the mercy, of being merciful, being forgiving, and especially to the fallen souls, right?
Jagai Mata is the example.
Jagai Mata is example. Lord Chaitanya, he delivered all the first class people, Sarva Bhattacharya, 6 Goswamis, the elite. Whereas Lord Nityananda, he took care of the Dina Hina Jata Chilo, Parinamu Darila, Tarasaki Jagai Mata. So he took care of the fallen souls. Those are considered fallen materially speaking, spiritually speaking. They are not in high class position. But Lord Chaitanya did to Prakashananda Saraswati, Sarva Bhattacharya, greatest scholar of the time, Sarva Bhattacharya. Prakashananda Saraswati was the guru of thousands of sannyasis. Very good figure. Kanchaji was the ruler who preached to him. So he was at a different league. And the same Lord Chaitanya wanted to kill Jagai Mata. But Lord Nityananda, he stopped him and said, no, if you kill this Jagai Mata, you have to kill everybody in nobody is going to survive. So first class devotee comes down to second class level in order to preach. Because the first class devotee sees everyone as a devotee of Krishna except himself or herself. So if you ask a first class devotee to preach, you'll say, what is there to preach? Everyone is engaged in devotional service. But what about this person? He's in Maya. He is serving Maya, Maya is serving Krishna, so they are all serving Krishna. So what is there for me to do? I am the only fallen one, don't you see? I am actually fallen. I need mercy, I can't preach to anyone. So therefore Prabhupada mentioned a first class devotee, Uttamadikari, has to come to the Madhyam level in order to discriminate. This person is innocent, I can preach to them. This person is envious, I should avoid that person. Makes that discrimination. And only Madhyamadikari can do that. Uttamadikari will not do that. Madhyamadikari will discriminate and does. Kanishthadikari cannot discriminate. You don't know how to discriminate also. Many things everybody is same. But the Kanishthadikari sees everybody has fallen. except himself. Or else, I am the only good devotee here, everyone else is not there. So there is Kanishka mentality.
I just want to check on this first line, and it says that second class devotee is not able to argue much on the strength of revealed scripture. So, is the emphasis more on the knowledge, like one should acquire more knowledge? Is that
Yeah.
what the emphasis is?
That's right. The conclusion of the Shastras may not be, he may not be conversant, because he's still studying and learning. So he may not be aware of all the Sanskrit conclusions. But in his heart he knows that yes, this is the path, this is the way to go. So some of the characteristics of first class devotee are present in the second class devotee also. And one of them being that Krishna is the one who takes shelter, Krishna Ekam Sharanam. He's on the path, in the process of doing that, but not there yet. So therefore one may not be able to participate in a debate or discussion and prove, establish Krishna consciousness. That's why 6 Goswami we read today, Nana Shastra Vicharana Nipuna, expert. Nana Shastra Nipuna, they're expert in all the scriptures. That's the Lord Chaitanya asked them to write books establishing Krishna consciousness as the topmost process. To write books studying all the scriptures, Nana Shastra. They scrutinized, studied all the scriptures and simplified it and gave us the essence. If we were to go and study all the scriptures individually, after many lifetimes we come to the same conclusion. But 6 Goswamis have done the work for us already, and that's why this book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is the cream of all the Vedic scriptures. He's collected all the most important verses of the Bhagavatam and given it to us. So that way you don't have to read all the 18,000 verses of the Bhagavatam. I mean, you can read them for reference, but without searching through that, what is the essence, he has already given it to us. That way it's practically every paragraph, Rupa Goswami quotes Srimad Bhagavatam. Quoting and teaching about Chaitanya, what Lord Chaitanya taught him.
Other sampradayas don't have this kind of summarized
No,
gist.
no. Some of the acharyas have also written books. They have written books. But their mood is slightly different. That's why Prabhupada took on the mood of Nitai Gaur of preaching. So there is a slight difference with them. Pushti Marg, their approach is slightly different. It's within the Bhakti realm, but their realm is more of do seva and take prasad. Ramanujana Sampradaya is again there is a slight difference in the mood. Their mood is Aishwarya, worshipping Lord Narayan, Lakshmi Narayan, in the mood of Vaikuntha. Different. Did I answer your question?
Yes, Prabhu. I mean, I was just trying to understand what are the, not that I'm trying to be first class devotee, but what are the expectations, one should read each and every, if this is the cream of all the Vedas, is it sufficient to read, or we should actually also read Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and, by heart, if not by heart, at least know key shlokas from each
Yeah,
of
it is the key shlokas. At least know the key shlokas. That's why in the early days of ISKCON, Prabhupada used to have 4, 5, 6 classes in a day. For 6 months, devotees, when they joined up, I used to attend up to 6 classes per day, reading all the books. So 1 hour each, 1 hour Gita, 1 hour Bhagavatam, 1 hour nectar devotion, 1 hour nectar instruction, 1 hour Chaitanya Charitamrita, like that. That's about 6 classes in a day. Or at least 4. 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. Bhagavatam in the morning, Gita in the evening, and in the morning between 10 and 12 they'll have 1 class, and after lunch they'll have 1 more class. From 4 to 6, they'll have 2 to 4, whatever time, sometime in the afternoon. Again after Arati, 7:30 to 9 o'clock, Bhagavad Gita class. When I joined first, we used to have 2 classes minimum, Bhagavatam and Gita. But as the time went by, the evening Gita classes dropped off. Only Bhagavatam is running. And some temples where Bhagavatam is studying because no audience is there. One devotee is telling it, I was in one temple, I went to, they asked me to give class, Bhagavatam. I said, okay. They're putting on the Vyasasana, put the microphone, and just did it, and then they went up, and then they went off. So they're looking, where's the audience? That's it. Deities are the audience. You can speak to them. There's nobody there. So it is that's where they're struggling to make preach and make devotee. That's why it's important that we are having attachment to hearing from the Shastra. Attachment to hearing from the Shastra. So Prabhupada has given us his books and he has said it will take 25 years to study my books. He has given a timeline of 25 years. That's why Shanmukhi is saying if you just memorize so many slokas and all that, how much you understood, realized, practiced, a whole different thing. One thing to those scholarly presentations, which is nice, no doubt that it's nice. But we should not think that, oh, I can quote so many slokas, now I'm very learned, maybe I am first class devotee already. We should not think like that. Very deep. In fact, one book distributor was, where was it? Recently someone was telling me. He said, I went and distributed book to my office colleague. I said, what did you tell them? I said, this book, my Shiksha Guru has been reading for 30 years and is still not finished. It's so deep. Oh, someone studied the same book for 30 years. That must be very, very amazing. And the Chinese person, they got the book. He said, I want to read this book. I can't imagine anyone reading one book for 30 years and still not getting to the bottom of it. Yesterday somebody is telling me, that's how they start distributing books to the colleagues at work. So that is another aspect. So we follow basic program. We have to do Bhakti Shastri, that's why the Prabhupada is good as Bhakti Shastri. Gita, nectar devotion, nectar instruction, Ishokrisha, that's Bhakti Shastri. Then we start doing Bhakti Vaibhav, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, first 6 canto. Like that. But how much time you take, it depends on how much you want to relish and go deep into the sloka, right? Imbibe the mood, understand the practice, how much am I practicing out of this? Where I'm going wrong, how I can improve. If the opportunity is there to do that introspection, that is much better quality. Quantity may not go so fast, quality will be there. And we benefit more out of it in our own devotional service. And different devotees have different opinions of doing it. Okay. Third class devotee.
The neophyte or third class devotee is one whose faith is not strong. Hare Krishna. The neophyte or third class devotee is one whose faith is not strong and who, at the same time, does not recognize the decision of the revealed scripture. The neophyte's faith can be changed by someone else with strong arguments or by an opposite decision. Unlike the second class devotee, who also cannot put forward arguments and evidence from the scripture, but who still has all faith in the objective. The neophyte has no firm faith in the objective, thus he is called the neophyte devotee or Kanishta. Further classification of neophyte devotee is made in the Bhagavad Gita. It is stated there that 4 classes of men, namely those who are distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are inquisitive, and those who are wise, begin devotional service and come to the Lord for relief in the matter of their respective self-satisfaction. They go into some place of worship and pray to God for mitigation of material distress or for some economic development or to satisfy their inquisitiveness. And a wise man who simply realizes the greatness of God also counted among the neophytes. Such beginners can be elevated to the second class or first class platform if they associate with pure devotees. The understanding is, as we already discussed, first class is someone who's got the knowledge of scriptures, someone who can convince the opposing arguments. Whereas when we take the second class or Madhyam Adhikari, he is, though he has a strong faith in the objective of devotional service, but he doesn't have that in-depth knowledge about the scriptures, hence he's not able to convince others. And if we go to the third level, which is the neophyte Kanishta Adhikari, he is further weak in all the areas. His faith is also not very strong. So obviously, in the last paragraph here, what Srila Prabhupada is suggesting is, even one should not lose faith if you are a neophyte, you're starting now and you can't convince others, because mostly in Kali Yuga, everyone has that desire to convince others through their knowledge. They want to show off. But if they are humble and follow a pure devotee, they can go to the level of Madhyam Adhikari, and thereafter, with some more, what should I say, Shraddha, practice, devotional service, they are able to reach, hopefully, to the the first class devotee. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, any other point?
I just want to ask a question that,
Can you the mic is better?
for example, the devotees or who are into service of Krishna, so they are actually in the forefront. But the people actually who are not like more at not in the limelight, but doing in the back end. But Krishna gives them also intelligence and how things are working and how, so they also get their faith as deep as the person who lives in the front, maybe more than that, because they are doing more sacrifices.
That's right.
So, but they will not get maybe chance to gain the knowledge because they are looking at stuff at the back end, which is not in terms of preaching, because of preaching you need to actually go out and then read more. But they can be more than first class devotee in one sense. How do we understand that, Prabhu?
Prabhu, just repeat your question. Sorry, I missed. Sorry.
No, I was just asking that, so if you take example of people who are going out and preaching out in the forefront, so because they are in forefront, they are actually the people who need to gain more knowledge, read scriptures, deal with day-to-day life and like management issues and that stuff. But because they are able to do it because they have a team at the back end, for example, their wife, for example. So they are, they are not in the front, but because they're supporting their spouses, or it could vice versa, not only one, so it could vice versa also. So they also gain knowledge, or maybe they gain more knowledge from Guru or from Prabhupada or from the Parampara. So my question was, doesn't it make them more than first class devotee, even though they can't argue on the strength of revealed scriptures?
Okay. I think, Prabhu, depends on where they are. I may be preaching, so it all Shraddha, as Prabhu said, it depends on what their level of Shraddha is. If their Shraddha is really, Shraddha Anusari, so if their Shraddha is at the level of Uttam Adhikari Shraddha, then they are probably Uttam Adhikaris. They are Uttam Adhikaris. But I may be preaching and I may be showing I'm preaching, but I'm, it's more of a pretense. So I may know a lot of scriptures, I may know a lot of shlokas, but my Shraddha may not be, maybe at a, very neophyte level. So I guess I would say that it all depends on their level of faith, and if they may not know the Shastras too well, or they may know enough Shastras to be able to preach, but if the Shraddha is really high, then they are at that level. That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
We can explain, I guess, from various different angles, but that was one thought that came to me.
Here, as per the criteria, Uttam Adhikari is strong, convinced, and can convince others. Strong can defeat opposing opinion. Now, if you take this as the criteria, now here again, we have listened to so many Maharajas' lectures. Now, there also, the self-realization part of each Maharaj when they deliver the lecture is going to sway you. Whether you are in the Madhyam Adhikari stage or you are in Kanishta Adhikari stage. So, and a lot of this happens, how much of your own knowledge, and now whether we can classify them as Uttam Adhikari is what I don't know, because as per this discussions which we have had, we are no one. We cannot, even if someone is able to tell us that such and such is an Uttam Adhikari, we don't know whether we will be able to still judge him and say, yes, he is Uttam Adhikari. That is going to be a problem which is going to happen in Kali Yuga. We are not in Satyug, where everyone at least had that kind of understanding, or their brain, intelligence, everything was at a similar level. I won't say that it was the best, but similar level. So here we are having a lot of problem as far as Kali Yuga is concerned. Even if there is a best leader, best speech, still someone else will come and he or she will offer. Like for example, from a material point of view, you find that Modi is able to sway a lot of people, all ignorant people, as we know. If you look from Srila Prabhupada's criteria, what he's doing is swaying all the ignorant people. There is nothing which he is propagating as far as the spiritual knowledge, not even iota. So here, what kind of leadership it is? So similarly, when we look at so many Maharajas, I think I have a different opinion, you will have a different opinion, everyone will have. And there are some leaders who will have a common thread and who will say, yes, I listen to this lecture. That's what I would like to just say. Thank you.
See, our,
Sorry, I was just going to say,
yeah,
Prabhu, whether he's at whatever level the preacher may be there, but he's doing the best thing. He's, he's preaching the Lord's message. That is what the Lord is saying as per 1869. And he's going to, the Lord says that there is no servant in this world more dear to me, right? Nor will there ever be. Who is he who basically passes his message? So he's getting the greatest mercy, and he's giving the greatest mercy to all of us.
yeah, but the person in the background also supporting the preacher will also get the same mercy. A preacher can't go and preach without the platform, without the backing, without the support, without the groundwork. So anyone who assists in that, they get the same amount of mercy. Because they don't get the honor or the respect that the frontline devotee gets. But frontline devotee also get bricks and rotten tomatoes as well. You have to see that. It's not only garlands all the time.
High risk, high gain.
I just very volatile portfolio.
It's like the garland, The garland, even the thread starts smelling.
Yeah.
Like flower smells,
Yeah.
the thread also smells.
Yeah, that's right. So that's why there is always, but at the end of the day, you see, our calculation is unfortunately very flawed. That's the big problem. Very, very flawed. By the Western education. So much judgmental. The Lord Chaitanya told that Lord Chaitanya's baby Nimai Leela with Mother Sachi was eating mud, right? So in that, Mother Sachi defeats him in argument.
That's a beautiful one, actually.
Isn't it? She is not supposed to be very scholarly and educated. She was wife of a Brahmani, of course. She was a Brahmani, one Brahmin family. Actually, she knew about deity worship and Shastra, some knowledge into there by hearing. But she is not a scholar, but she defeated Lord Chaitanya. And if you eat mud, you get sick. You drink milk, then you can help it. But no, same, it comes from the same earth. Then she gives an example of the clay pot. Clay by itself cannot hold water, but when clay is transformed to a pot, it can hold water. So she compares that, and that's where she shows, she defeats the Maya philosophy, that everything is one. You drink milk, eat mud, it's all one. That's what Maya is saying. But when you practice it, it's not the same. One makes you sick, one makes you healthy. Then Devi Nimai says, oh Ma, why didn't you teach me all this before only? As if he's very old, he's only 2 years old. Palliative from that. Palliative, why didn't you teach me when I was young? Much before. Radha Govind Maharaj said very nicely, describes his Leela. पहले क्यों नहीं समझाया? महाराज से कौन से बड़े हो गए? Everyone has their own style of preaching, but that that's it. That example you can't argue with that. She is defeating the future greatest scholar, the Lord Himself. So, yeah. So our calculation, that's what I'm saying. This is not to judge devotees, but to respect devotees and aspire to acquire those qualities. Only for two reasons. Our tendency is to judge, right? To put a meter on, say, first class, 1.5, 2.5, 2.25. The tendency is so strong, right? It's unbelievable how much we have a tendency to judge. It's so innate. Very hard to give it up.
And somewhere we are seeing ourselves. That's why you're judging.
Yeah.
Because psychologically, if you look at, you want to say, okay, what is weak in that person? Let me.
Yeah.
And that's what you're concentrating on, not
Yeah.
concentrating on the
Good quality.
positive
Yeah,
aspects.
Yeah, very true, very true. Because
And that, I think, is the aspect what I have at least understood here from your lectures is Kali Yuga is full of that.
we become victims of that very easily.
Yeah.
So in this paragraph is also further classification of the third class devotee, neophyte devotees, the four classes, isn't it? So Srimad Prabhu has got that. What are the four?
Yes, Prabhu. Chaturvidha vajante man jana sukirtano arjuna artho jigyasu artharthi jnani cha bharatvarsha. O best among Bharatas, four kind of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. So I'll read the.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I'll just read that shloka.
No, good. It's then the nectar devotion continues the examples. You are right. Just read the next paragraph.
Yeah, an example of.
An example.
3 or 4 examples.
Yeah.
Where have I lost him?
An example of the neophyte.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Page
Yeah,
30,
it gives
page-
examples.
Page
Yes.
30, Prabhu,
Yeah.
starting from
Page
there.
30, right? An example of the neophyte class is Maharaj Dhruva. He was in need of his father's kingdom and therefore engaged himself in devotional service to the Lord. Then, in the end, when he was completely purified, he declined to accept any material benediction from the Lord. Similarly, Gajendra was distressed and prayed to Krishna for protection, after which he became a pure devotee. Similarly, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sananda, and Sanat Kumara were all in the category of wise, saintly persons, and they were also attracted by devotional service. A similar thing happened to the assemblage in Naimisharanya forest, headed by sage Saunaka. They were inquisitive and were always asking Suta Goswami about Krishna. Thus, they achieved the association of a pure devotee and became pure devotees themselves. So that in the way of elevating oneself, in whatever condition one may be, if he is fortunate enough to associate with pure devotees, then very quickly he is elevated to the second class or first class platform. Should I continue, Prabhu?
So in these examples, what do you think of the examples?
So basically, all the examples over here, Maharaj Dhruv, Gajendra, the four Kumaras, and Naimisharanya, the devotees over there. They, the moment they came in contact with her, or when they had the revelation, they immediately came to the platform of second or first class devotee,
Yeah.
or in fact first class devotee.
In other words, they didn't even have the Kanishta Adhikari's qualification. So here this is what it is at least saying. And then when they came in association with the pure devotee, Sutta Goswami, that's
True. But the question I have got here is, why is Guru Maharaj called a neophyte devotee?
Because he came for the need of money actually.
He started as neophyte. One should understand that they might have started at the neophyte level, but like you said, because of associating with the advanced devotees or the Lord Himself, a combination of the two, they got elevated. By Dhruva Maharaj's case, by meeting Narada Muni, he was shown the path to become a first class devotee. And when the Lord came and gave darshan to him and touched him on the head, the conscience, then he got the full realization. Then he is first class devotee. Not neophyte anymore. So these are good examples for us to show that yes, it's possible. That it is, the Lord has given the facility for elevating ourselves. If we really want to, the Lord can facilitate.
What about Gajendra and the four Kumaras?
Yeah.
They came into whose association?
In Gajendra's, he had association with past life, where he was trained. But because of his anarthas, he got carried away, he got cursed, and got slightly deviated. But whatever training that was there, in the moment of distress, he took shelter of the Lord. And when he took shelter of the Lord, all the benefit of the past training came back. Then he associated with the Lord directly, seeing the Lord face to face. Then of course one can't remain neophyte anymore. That's it, the Lord has come, finished. Instant purification. And he is saved by the Lord personally, physically, materially and spiritually. So that prayer in the past life is really past life.
And the four Kumaras, Prabhu, they were like impersonalists initially, but they were not would
They
they
are
be?
not neophyte. They are not. It
They were
doesn't
not
say that
neophyte.
they are neophyte. It doesn't
Yeah,
say.
okay. Similarly,
Yeah, similarly it says, but they are not at neophyte level.
yeah,
But also they are not at the topmost level either.
right.
Because they are
Because impersonalists.
Brahmavadis,
Yeah.
impersonalists. Therefore their knowledge was incomplete. And their attraction to the Lord was not there. Actually, they had knowledge of the, that's what Prabhupada explains that the four Kumaras are not Mayavadis. Devotees confused. They are Brahmavadis. And they are not Aparadis. They did not deny the form of the Lord, or they did not criticize the form of the Lord.
Yeah.
So there is a subtle difference. But just that they are more attracted to the Brahman feature than to the personal feature of the Lord, the Shyam Sundar form. They are not attracted to that because they have not any experience of performing devotional service. They are sense controlled, very highly sense controlled, which is why they could come to the level of Brahman. Ranghuta Prasannatma Nastochiti and Kankshati. They had achieved that level. Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu also they had come to that level. But Mad Bhakti Lavate Param hadn't happened. That's when they smelled the tulsi leaf, that Mad Bhakti also came out. And that's where they became great acharyas.
In other words, they were doing it for their own pleasure.
They are doing it because they are wise. They are wise. They knew the material world is a place of suffering and they should not get into Maya. So they were keeping themselves aloof from sense gratification, any type of material enjoyment. And they were trying to remain on the Brahman platform.
So self-interest was
Self-interest was there to some extent, yes. It's a very, very, they wanted moksha kam. They called moksha kam.
unlike an Uttam
they wanted-
Adhikari who is different.
Huh?
Unlike the Uttam Adhikari who is different.
Yeah.
So that from that qualification point of view,
Yeah,
they were below
correct.
that level.
That's why they had to elevate it.
Yeah,
They had to elevate it.
and that is
further.
where the pure devotee association
Yeah, that's where.
helped them.
In that case, there was of course the smell of the tulsi leaves offered to Lord Narayan. So there directly the Lord reciprocated with them. He saw their purity, he saw their advanced state, and he wanted to give them the opportunity for devotional service. Because Lord Brahma mentions in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam that even in the Brahmavadis, oftentimes they fall down. They don't remain in Brahmajyoti. Shravaki, you know it was? Aruhi Krichena Padam Padam Padamti. Yeah, Prabhupada talks, I know a few words or few sentences in that. E.N. Arvindaksha Vyukta Maninas. E.N. Arvindaksha Vyukta Maninas. Vyukta Maninas means they think they are liberated. But they are Avishuddha Buddhaye. Their intelligence is impure. Why? Because they are not aware of the devotional service to the personality of Godhead. That is not, they are not experienced that. So then they fall down. Without that they fall down. So any process to work, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, anything to work, a tinge of bhakti has to be there. Without bhakti that process cannot sustain. Purely on karma you can't do karma yoga. Purely on jnana you can't do jnana yoga. There has to be some bhakti. When the bhakti element is there, then bhakti gives the chance for the Lord to reciprocate and give the knowledge. The Dhamika Jivamanta. When he gives the knowledge, then that is solid. When we try to acquire the knowledge, there's always a limitation, how much you can, how far you can go. In fact, you can go only up to Brahman, you can't go beyond that. Max to maximum. At the most, you go to Brahman realization. That's why 7th chapter 19th verse says, Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanavan Mahaprabhanjati Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlava. It's called a Mahanatma. So when the four Kumaras, they were not on the Mahatma level, they were on the Brahmadi level. But when they smelled the two cities associated with the Lord, then they got elevated to the topmost first class.
Can we take these 4 examples or the 4 classifications of Bhagavad Gita?
Exactly, that's exactly matching one to one. In fact, when devotees give class on that verse, they always quote this paragraph. You'll find that they quote these examples of how they got elevated. So, one in distress is Gajendra, a desire of wealth is Guru Maharaj, inquisitive is Sejasanaga Sharanya, and one in knowledge is four Kumaras. That's where it comes from here. So, if you want to do Sunday fish class, it's a good topic. It's got story, it's got philosophy, it's got instruction, and it gives hope for us. It can be in one of the 4 categories. And we may be in a mixed category. We may be suffering, we may be distressed, and we may be desiring wealth also. We may have both these combinations. It's not that only in distress, only desires wealth. Could be combinations also. And that's a nice way to see how people come to Krishna consciousness. He asks them, what is the story? You'll find that one of the 4 categories, a combination of the 4 will be there. What brought you to Krishna consciousness? I was searching for something, I was very lost. And we hear devotee stories, right? And how by associating with devotees is so powerful. That's why I always remember Kadamkar Maharaj example. Did I tell you? He was traveling in a bus once in Amsterdam, and one devotee got on the bus and started doing book distribution. He gave books to everyone in the bus, practically I didn't give him. He thought this person, long hair, not the kind, he's not going to take it. He ignored him. But Maharaj said that time, I was in my heart was thinking, if he offers me a book, I will take it. But he has to offer, I'm not going to go to him. So he didn't offer. And he didn't take the book. And he said, because of that incident, my Krishna consciousness was delayed by 8 years. The next time I had a devotee and got a book, this time when he saw a devotee again 8 years later, he said, I have to take a book now. And then he got the book and started it, because then no looking back. But that was 8 years later, he said. Because that wrong judgment of that book distributor, that this person is not likely.
But isn't it, Prabhu, if there is something good or spiritually good, although here the Maharaj did understand it is good, but his ego came in, I'm not going to ask.
Yeah, I'm not going to
And anyway, I think that's speculation again.
Yeah.
It is speculation.
It is how the Lord reciprocates
Yes.
the devotee and how things happen. But when he saw the devotee after 8 years and the opportunity to take a book was there, he grabbed it. So that's when he took it. Maybe that was the development of his consciousness, had to go through 8 years or something before he could click. We don't know.
His
The how the-
maturity level came after 8 years.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. The Lord has his own plan, how he brings us back to his lotus feet. It's always an amazing story. That's why I never get tired of asking the question, how did he come to Krishna consciousness? Never get tired. And because no 2 stories are the same. No 2 stories are the same. And that's beautiful how Krishna reciprocates. And for us who are trying to preach, it is a very good indicator in how we can bring Krishna to someone. Because this is what inspired this devotee, this devotee, this devotee, this devotee. Okay, now if I meet somebody on the street, we could think, okay, what category this person is, so I can present Krishna consciousness so that the person can take it up. Always exciting to have that transition. Okay. Fine. Shall we go to the next paragraph? Son, can you give the microphone?
These four type of devotees have been described in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and they have all been accepted as pious. Without being pious, no one can come to devotional service. It is explained in Bhagavad Gita that only one who has continually executed pious activities and whose sinful reactions in the life have completely stopped can take to Krishna consciousness. Others cannot. The neophyte devotees are classified into the four groups: the distressed, those in need of money, the inquisitive, and the wise, according to the gradations of the pious activities. Without pious activities, if a man is in a distressed condition, he become an agnostic, a communist, or something like that. Because he does not firmly believe in God, he thinks that he can adjust his distressed condition by totally disbelieving in him.
In the next paragraph also.
Lord Krishna, however, has explained in the Gita that out of these four types of neophytes, the one who is wise is very dear to him. Because a wise man, if he is attached to Krishna, is not seeking an exchange of material benefits. A wise man who becomes attached to Krishna does not want any return from him, either in the form of relieving distress or in gaining money. This means that from the very beginning his basic principles of attachment to Krishna is more or less love. Furthermore, due to his wisdom and study of Shastras, scriptures, he can understand also that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, that's something like that.
So this further explains about the verse what Srimali Prabhu read from Bhagavad Gita, that all these four categories come under, they should have done some pious deeds in the past life, or else they would have not come into devotional service at all. So, and depending on the kind of pious deed they have done, they have been grouped here. So according to the gradations of the pious activities. So here clearly it said, without pious activity, a man who was in a distressed condition may take another path. He may totally go against the Lord. So he may become an atheist. But because of his pious activity, those in distress, they are coming towards Krishna. Yeah.
So not everyone in distress can become a devotee, unless they have some pious credits.
Yes.
Here the pious credits are not punya, material piety, it is spiritual credit. Samkruti. That has to clarify. So punya alone cannot give bhakti. If that is the case, then only the pious people become devotees, impious cannot become devotees.
All those who are giving charities will then be on the top.
Yeah, they are supposed to be, Mother Teresa is supposed to be devotee, but she was not very favorable to devotees. So she was very much fixed in the mode of goodness, of giving in charity, living her entire life, dedicating her life to helping the poor and the struggling. But her help was only on the material level, when devotees offered her that she can include Krishna consciousness, she won't take that.
What would be an example of that spiritual pious?
Yeah, good question. Prabhupada asked the same question actually by devotees. And they said, we are not on any pious activities, how come we have got Krishna consciousness? The same verse. Because the 7th chapter Krishna says, right? Isham Tonti Gatam Paham, 728. Dhanam Punya Karnam, Te Dvanda Mohan Nidrita, Bhajante Mam Dridabhita. 728 if you see. Translation, Srimali.
Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination.
So devotees ask the question, what pious activities we have done? We are smoking, drinking, taking drugs, different things, meat eating. Prabhupada said, I have given you the pious credits. I have given you the pious credits. So when a pure devotee sees with compassion and injects the pious traits, Sukruti, in the devotee, then the Lord decides to give that mercy. That's what we read in that Madhuri Kadambini, right? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Madhyamadikari has been given the power of attorney by the Lord. You can give Krishna to anybody. You can give me to anyone. You can give away my devotional service to anyone you want. You have the full power of attorney. I give you the adhikar. That's called Madhyamadikari. You can give Krishna to anyone you want. And if you give somebody, I will reciprocate in that person. I will honor your choice. Just selected someone to get the mercy. The Lord Nityananda decided to give the mercy to Jagannath. Lord Chaitanya honored that choice. Yes, you made a choice. He is saying so? No problem. I'll forgive. So that is the mercy the Lord gives them, Madhyamadikari. I think Madhyamadikari's role is so important. And Prabhupada wanted all of us to, all devotees in ISKCON to at least come to the Madhyamadikari. Because they are a preaching movement and we have to give mercy to others. Recently there have been a few stories going around about that, right? There was a French man who took the Bhagavad Gita from a girl on a train and pushed her out of the train and tore the Bhagavad Gita. And how the maid servant to the house came and put it back together and put it on the shelf. And later on in life, when he was very his business went down and he was in depression, he opened that same book and started reading. And he was in a bedridden condition, he couldn't move. So he had to read, he was bored, so he started reading the book. And the more he started reading, the more he got convinced. And he regretted having pushed that innocent girl who just tried to kill Bhagavad Gita. What an amazing story. And later on that man goes and joins the temple. And he gives all his assets to his son. And gets completely transformed. And he goes and meets that girl and asks her for forgiveness. Did you read that story? Yeah, somewhere I saw it. Sometimes WhatsApp messages, so many you go through them quickly. So
I have read that.
You read that story? Yeah. French businessman, very successful businessman. And through his experience. So that was a young girl. She was hardly, 18, 20-year-old girl like that. Very young girl. Poor thing, she was trying to give a book and this guy started demanding. Pushed her off the train and she got hit on the head. Some serious injuries. But she didn't have very grudge. She, at that age, so young age, been so forgiving. Amazing. You might find Uttam Adhikaris among those, we never know. Can't tell our calculation. So that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness, that you don't know who will take up when, how. And that's why devotees should always be in the mood to preach. Always our books ready, always our prasadam ready. My Guru Maharaj said, devotees like a spiritual doctor. They carry Charanamrit, carry prasad, carry books. Anywhere you might meet them. Whether you meet somebody give you a book. Always be ready to give. Not follow the instruction all the time. Sometimes when I had my own car, I used to sleep in the car. On a higher path. Don't even know where it is. But yeah, that opportunity to give Krishna to others is so sublime. If we do that, then definitely Krishna will be very favorable to us. That, oh, you made someone a devotee, you brought my lost child back to me. So therefore I am very grateful. Krishna becomes obliged to that devotee. That's such a wonderful thing. Here among the four categories, Krishna is saying that the wise man is the best of the four. Why does he say wise man is the best?
Doesn't exchange
He's not
anything.
asking
In
for
return,
anything.
he will not ask.
He's not asking anything as exchange.
Correct. He's not asking anything in return. Correct. And is less likely to bloop. Whereas the one in distress, once the distress is gone, he might go back into Maya. The one who wants wealth, once he gets wealth, he will get Krishna. Like I was hearing in one of the lectures how the queens of Dwaraka, each one had their own palace, that we know. They're so opulent. And each palace is bigger than entire Dwarka. How we can't explain that. Palace is in Dwarka, but each palace is bigger than Dwarka. How is possible? It's like this house is in Schofield, this house is bigger than an entire Schofield. How is possible? The Max Muller saw that and said, this is mythology. This is not possible. This is all mythology, this is not real. But these palaces are driven by the mind. If you want it bigger, they make it bigger. If you want to make it smaller, they make it small. It is all controlled by the Chintamani. They are all made of Chintamani. Chintamani is mind. Mind is jewel, the thought jewel. And it is also described that the queens of Dwaraka, each queen had their own palace. And every day Krishna will visit each palace simultaneously after his work. And not only that, it's further described that they are so opulent, the walls are not made of jewels and rubies and all that precious stones. And the interesting part was each of those queens used to change the saris 9 times a day. There are 9 silk saris per day. And every month they'll get supply of 270 silk saris. 270 silk saris every month, fresh stock will come. So once they wear one sari, they won't touch it again. Make someone to take it up for prasadam. You don't have to uphold it and put it back and hang there, and not required. Make someone to take it up. 9 times they will change sari in a day, can you imagine? So I was discussing one of the classes. Imagine if one of our family members gets 9 saris a day. What will happen? We'll forget Krishna for sure. We'll become sari conscious, not Krishna conscious. But those queens did not forget Krishna. They were not sari conscious. They are thinking how to wear sari nicely, which color Krishna will like. So wear this sari, he will be very happy. So they'll change the sari so much that after 1 hour he used to see different sari. We used to see in Hindi movies and all. He goes around the bush, they come this side, a different dress now, a different suit this side, a sari here, and another dress there. In one song they'll have 4 or 5 sari, dresses will change. Both hero and heroine. In real life it happened in Dwaraka.
It's all copied from there.
That's so true. So true, all copied from there. So Artha Arthi, the one who desires wealth, once he gets the wealth, they might forget Krishna. That is the point. And the one who is inquisitive also, once the curiosity is satisfied. It happens like so many devotees come to ISKCON, they attend classes, and after that time, they're saying the same thing again and again. I already know all this. This is Prabhupada. I feel there's so much repetition. Prabhupada repeats like anything. He is not ashamed about it, neither is he apologetic about it. Same thing is repeated in so many places, right? Same sentences, same point is made in so many ways. And Prabhupada doesn't apologize for that. He says, that's how it is, because you don't realize it. How many times Prabhupada said, he asked us, one time we had a meeting with all the big sannyasis. So what are you all doing? So we are preaching. What are you preaching? Krishna consciousness. What are you preaching? Krishna consciousness. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, devotion service, this, that. So many things they told. Someone Navadaya, Prayodhana, da. Prabhupada said, no. You should only preach, you're not the body. But Prabhupada, everyone knows that. He said, no, they haven't realized it. You're preaching to the level of you're not the body. Don't go too far into philosophy. Because people are not going to understand that. And how many times and the Prabhupada in interviews, when he asks any message from him, he would say, yes, first of all, we are sentient beings, part and parcel of Krishna, we're not his body. Part and parcel of Krishna, meant to serve Krishna. He says, Swamiji, you already said that in the last press conference. You are saying the same thing, don't you have any other message? Because these reporters, they want to hear something new, they want to put there, some new thing. If they say something new, that means very intelligent. It's the same thing we could that much only he knows. He only knows so little. He repeats the same thing again and again. See how the materialistic mind works, no? So Prabhupada started one press conference, he started by saying, what is the message from India? He said, I am not donkey. Oh, something new now. Then the reporter got very interested. I'm not donkey. Very nice. Now he's saying something different. Let's write down this. Very important. Must make a note of this. Something new is coming. Then I asked, why did you say that? He said, if I say I'm not the body, you don't like it. You say you're repeating yourself. So I have to say it differently. I'm not donkey. Yeah.
And that must have become a sensational headline.
Yeah, then because actually it says, no? That
Kalyugi sensation.
in Melbourne he came in the Rolls Royce and they were asking why you were studying Rolls Royce. He said, why not? And I'm a representative of God, I should have golden card. This is only tin and rubber. What's the Rolls Royce? And then he told that if you don't take up Krishna consciousness, you'll become a dog in the next life. And the reporter wrote, Swamiji comes waltzing in and warns us and hounds us to take up Krishna consciousness, or we'll end up become a dog. And Prabhupada said, that rascal didn't understand. He didn't get my point. He reported what I said, but he's reported in the wrong way. He didn't get the message. That rascal didn't get the message. That's why Prabhupada advised, if you are meeting press reporters, you give them a written thing. Because you say something, then you misinterpret and give some other message. Put a writing into it, then they'll just copy paste it. So if you say something and they try to interpret, their brain will interpret another way. Another level of filter will take place and then something else comes in the paper. Not what the actual message was. That's why I said, never spend long time with reporters. Only answer whatever question they ask and give everything in writing as far as possible. Advice to reporters. Said don't spend more than half an hour with the policeman. Only answer whatever question they ask and leave immediately. Don't hang around with them. He said reporters, politicians and policemen. Said you should only spend maximum half an hour. You can't get instructions how to deal with the press also. Amazing, Prabhupada. Anyway, I think we'll conclude here.
Prabhu, just on pious again, Sukrit. So, what is pious? So, pious activity is doing a karma activities.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't know who is making this.
There is a message, Dasara Priya Prabhu bringing. He said he will be there around 1 o'clock.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
bringing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
There is a message in the group.
Thank you.
I didn't see that.
So I was just trying to just understanding the 4 kinds of pious men who render devotional service unto me.
Yes, sir.
Hazaron Salji.
Perfect timing.
In English they'll say, think of the devil is you.
In
In our शास्त्रिक way, हजारों साल जिएगा. अभी आपका नाम ले रहे थे.
Only 6 people today.
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
I was just wanting to understand pious activities or pious men. So who've done pious activities. So pious activities obviously is not charitable activities. It is what akarma activities.
Yeah, it is spiritual activity.
Spiritual activities. So that is basically akarma.
Yeah.
So if he's done spiritual activities, then as we said in text 28, and who has done pious activities in previous life, so then they will engage themselves in my service with determination. So they come to the devotional service level
Very quickly.
very quickly.
Because they already done some devotional service. Yeah? If it is depend on mundane piety, punya, like mundane punya, material punya, that means bhakti, the cause of bhakti becomes punya. But bhakti is causeless by definition.
Yes.
So if bhakti is causeless, it can't depend on material punya, papa and punya. Right? Because material, then bhakti becomes material. If it has a material cause.
So I'm just trying to understand, Prabhu. I mean, if they've already done karma
Like I
activities,
was thinking some
then-
examples, like someone, when I heard some lecture, they said there is prasadam, like especially Jagannath Puri prasadam and all. If someone is a non-devotee, he may be atheist also, you just give him that prasadam. If he doesn't take also, even if he touches it, that is the pious activity.
Yeah, correct.
Is that
That's-
correct?
But Prabhupada distinguished that by
Yeah.
calling it Sukruti.
Sukruti.
Just to make it clear,
Yeah.
clarified. Otherwise, thank you so much, your Annadata for today. Yeah.
So is that example correct or?
Yes.
Prashad? Prashadam.
Yes, that's Prashadam, yeah, it's
Yeah.
transcendental. That's not pious activity as in Punya,
Yeah.
but as in Sukruti.
And even like book distribution, you first give the Bhagavad Gita to them, let them hold in the hand for a moment.
Yeah.
So that gives their pious.
So piousness,
Piety
okay.
for them,
Yeah, so
security
I'm
for
just
them.
trying to understand if you've done a karma,
Mm.
then you're already
Without
on the
you
path of
doing, without
devotional
you
service.
really
But this is
doing-
like, yeah,
But it gets
Without-
interrupted, no? You are on the path but got interrupted.
yeah.
Due to some reason. Then when another devotee again meets that same person again, give the book or give the prasad.
Like even Jagannath Yatra is going, the
Mm.
sound of the holy name.
Yeah, so
That
you've
goes
heard the
outside
name of
here,
Krishna, or you've
they
just
see
chanted the name
deities.
of Krishna, or
So
you.
these are all.
So that is all Sukriti.
Yeah.
And that is where you come to this
Yeah.
level.
And that's what awakens the bhakti. No?
Yeah.
Bhakti is dormant in everyone's heart. It's awakened by devotion service, exposure to devotion service.
Probably, in other words, can we say any sattvic activity which we do, that's not Sukriti? Can we?
No, yeah, that's right. Only Satvik is not.
Namely,
There has to be some Krishna Sambandha has to be there.
Need Krishna.
Krishna Sambandha has to be there.
So in other words, just sattvic activities will not
I
happen.
mean, you see, look at
I mean, one extreme example you can see Putana. She didn't do Satvik act, she was killing babies, that is promising.
but because she came in contact with Krishna, therefore Krishna took it as a mother.
Even though she was not Satvik. Putana cannot be classified as Satvik by any means. Right? Neither was she a devotee. But the Lord decided to give her causeless mercy. And because of that, he said she is as good as Yashoda. But that is the mercy of the Lord. No? That is not a process of devotion service recommended to follow Putana. There is no such thing as Putana Bhakti. There is no such thing.
And there's one more important point in that in that paragraph, that if you don't have pious activities, then you become agnostic. So that is also a very key point to note.
Right. Yeah, because one in distress, they don't have the
Sukruti or the mercy of a devotee, they can become agnostic.
Agnostic and
Similarly, one who desires wealth, once they become rich, they become proud of their wealth and they forget Krishna. Same thing with the inquisitive also, they got so deep into analyzing things, that through analysis they can miss Krishna. They analyze so much, they can't see Krishna.
Their belief is not present there.
So,
Same thing what, if you look at the communist countries,
Yeah.
the belief in the Lord is not there at all. And that is the reason. And similarly, if you look at America or wealthy countries, there again, because of the wealth, the belief in the Lord is very low.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not present.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like if Srila Prabhupada goes to those places,
Yeah.
then it becomes, the difference is seen.
But,
Like in Russia also the same thing
Yeah,
happened.
that's like Damodar Maharaj told in the last lecture.
Yeah.
class.
Yeah,
Same thing can applicable for a very poor person also.
Yeah.
He will be struggling all the time to make some money. He don't have any time to think of God.
Yeah.
Such many people are there like that.
but then if you look at the, in India, there is an example of who was the cobbler, blind, who was stitching all the time, the shoes and everything, but he was thinking of Lord. So the Sukriti is so much, Raidas or, I think that's, when
That's
you
not,
get-
not so, that's different.
but I think there is,
The cobbler story is there.
Yeah,
cobbler and the
I'm not getting the name of the,
The
he's
name
also a
is-
Das.
Name is not mentioned in the story. Some Prabhupada doesn't put the name. Cobbler and Brahmana story. Cobbler is called cobbler only. No name has been mentioned. Till now, I have not heard any name mentioned. Maybe there is, he must have name.
So we all have.
Because when Narad Muni comes and then he
Yeah.
explains that anecdote.
Correct. That's all there, but name, anyway. Name is not there.
no, he's a devotee of the Lord. Yeah, I mean, he's not at this stage. He's like at Uttamadhikari stage.
I think
It's
the
especially
why it
out
is
of
mentioned
faith.
as cobbler was.
You can say a top devotee or
Yeah.
a neophyte devotee.
Yeah, no, just another point was that why it was mentioned as cobbler because he was dealing with leather. He is such a low class, but his faith was so high class. So that was the point.
The material is not qualified, spiritually is better. Brahmana is spiritually supposed to be religious person. But he is proud of his learning, but he is not a devotee.
Yeah, so just want to check like these 4 examples: inquisitiveness and distress and all. Is there any example where the combinations are given like 2 or 3, and that is the personality we can quote somewhere instead of just very
We got 4 categories, 4 people are mentioned. I have not come across where combinations are mentioned. I mean,
Anyone like, somewhere with 2 or 3 people, possibly, that's fine.
I mean, you see, modern day ISKCON is like that, no? So many people become devotees in combination of situations. The hippies were rich, they gave up their wealth of the parents, but they are in distress also, and they are inquisitive also. Today itself it's there. Looking around us, you can see so many devotees who came from that level. They are not all were in distress. Or some had a combination of distress and desiring wealth. Some are already wealthy. So it all different categories in there. But some people become devotees because they had no money. They came to the Hare Krishna for free prasadam. Because they had no money, they couldn't afford to pay for prasadam, for food. So they went to the Hare Krishna temple, did some service, and got free prasadam. Steve Jobs walked.
Yeah,
Right.
Steve Jobs' example comes through. And
Yeah, he walked from 10 miles to
Yeah.
go to Hare Krishna center to get free prasadam. All kinds are there.
And that also he's saying in the lecture, when people asked him how you're in that university, he's talking about this is
Yeah,
really,
Stanford, yeah.
yeah, Stanford University.
Yeah, it's amazing. Prabhupada, through his mission, he touched the lives of so many people. Can't imagine. Celebrities, rich people, poor people, small people, big people. Okay, getting late now. Yeah. So we'll continue next week with this, bottom of page 31. After many, many births. We sort of touched on that today. Yeah. We'll come back with that. And next week we can talk about Chaitanya Charitamrita also. These are classes which is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So a lot of your questions are answered actually. Through those examples, first class, second class devotee. Lord Chaitanya explains those to Rupa Goswami. So one whole chapter is there on that. So it would be nice to read some verses, suggested verses. Okay, thank you very much for coming and participating. Bhakti Rasama Sindhu ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai,
Yeah.
Gopinath ki jai.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ameda Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I got the garlands, that's why I got delayed. I just left it in reference. One is for Prabhupada.
No, I've got two because I just wasn't sure who was going to come and now for 9 people to come and this time.
Because one lot of trend is there.
कैसा था आपका?
About the frame size.
Voyage.
Oh, अच्छा रहा, बहुत अच्छा रहा.
He's
really
he's an authority.
He's really
Not
good.
thyroid, he's an authority.
He's really good.
हम लोग कल ही गए उनको
क्या memory?
It's not offered, it's not offered.
सब
ना
कुछ
उनको
याद है।
15 मिनट में जितना बताया कि वो पूरा ट्रांसक्रिप्ट करते हैं ना, ये उसमें सब बोल दिया. You didn't leave anything.
वो तब का तब कर देता है।
हाँ,
He
really,
doesn't leave it for
really good,
कल
Prabhu.
करेंगे बाद में करेंगे।
Really good. And
Yeah, more you would attend the more we encouraging.
जाते ही 10 मिनट में कर दिया या 7 मिनट में. This was your problem, and I would have treated you differently. जो आपने लिया वो ठीक नहीं, मतलब ठीक है, but I would have treated you differently. So the specialist Prabhu, he was really good.
हमारा तो in
3 weeks time
fact,
after
my
the-
wife, she was being treated by another colleague of his in Westmead Hospital,
जी.
but she was not treating properly.
नहीं
तो
नहीं.
वो तो elephant doses देती थी insulin का. When she came to this person,
He's
everything
given me a
changed.
target to reduce my weight by 10 kgs, Prabhu.
Yeah. आप जब reduce करेंगे, he'll-
Sorry, Prabhu.